folks, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 14 of the Grave Consequences Podcast. I am Caleb B. Follow me on Twitter there. Follow the show on Twitter at GC_cast. Follow Social Suplex at Social Suplex. Subscribe to the Social Suplex Podcast Network wherever you download your podcast. Let me see here. Oh, also, if you want to hear more of my lovely tones, every Wednesday night after NXT or Dynamite, Eddie and Caleb's HeroCast drops a new episode every week. That's where I review comic book movies in chronological order. I believe this week we have got, it's either Tank Girl or Batman Forever coming out. I believe it's the Batman Forever episode, actually. But anyway, all things considered, I just remember we're like 3 weeks ahead, so that's way off. Either way, whatever. Listen to whatever episode's out the week this episode drops. Anyway, folks, that's enough from me. Greg, today we're reviewing the episode entitled A Shot of El Patron. That's quite the clever title, wouldn't you agree?
It's pretty clever, and he plays a significant role on this episode. I think you could say that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, speaking of, the first thing we see is El Jefe and El Patron conversing in their office. I'm going to be completely transparent. I didn't take a lot of notes down from this. Nothing really stuck out to me. Did anything stick out to you in this back and forth between Jefe and Patron?
There's only one thing that stuck out, and that's when Patron says to him, "I like your key. What does it unlock?"
Ooh.
And Dario looks at him and just asks him, "So what do you want?" Avoids the question.
He may as well have just said, "You don't want to find out."
That was
because that is an important part of Lucha Underground lore for sure.
Oh, he did ask him. What his ask was, he asked him a favor. But they didn't say what it was, and he said the next time the request I make will be for blood. So we didn't see what the request was, or we didn't hear what the request was, so we don't know.
Yes. So this was from El Patron, or this was from Dario?
El Patron was like, "I have a request of you," and Dario was just like, "Why do I don't care." They said a lot of nothing besides that one thing I said.
Well, now I don't feel so bad about not taking notes down for that particular segment. Normally that doesn't happen, folks. I don't know what was going on. Anyway, first match of the night was Argenis versus Phoenix. This match was very good. To say a Phoenix match was very good, that's like saying Michael Jordan was good at basketball. Of course, and you're probably underselling it.
Yeah, and you're normally going to spend your time better pointing out the bad matches. I've never seen one from Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there were some awkward spots in the beginning. I don't know if we picked up on it. I think it might have been the editing, because there were some strikes that just kind of looked kind of wonky. Like one person wasn't in the right spot, but I really think it was just the camera work, because they kept going. It didn't look like they were struggling or upset with each other. So I don't know. Did you pick up on any of that? Did it seem kind of weird?
No, because I was mostly focused on the story, if I can completely confess. It is worth pointing out, just another aside, Argenis wrestled a match and he hit the brown eye kick again.
Yeah, it's becoming a staple of his. I never remembered that. I guess maybe it goes away.
Yeah. So eventually Katrina comes down the steps by herself, this being a week after she kissed Phoenix right square on the lips, and she was watching, oh my god, Vamp and Stryker during this. Actually, okay, Stryker, his commentary was kind of cringe, but like Vampiro was like kind of like, dirty joke telling uncle kind of charm. Does that make sense to you?
It would be like if you went on Instagram and you read the comments on thirst traps.
Yes.
And you read what the guys were saying.
Like on a Carly Perez post, for example.
Yes, like any of my comments under any of her pictures. Yes, that would be accurate. But
Yep.
there was there was two cool moves in this match.
Yeah.
There was our Phoenix does a leapfrog over Arhennis, and as he's
Mhm.
passing over him, Arhennis hooks his arms back around his legs, and he turned it into a gory bomb.
Yes.
And it's
Oof.
like that. It looked like if that were like if wrestling were real, that would be more damaging, I think, than a regular gory bomb because of the momentum Phoenix had and the height, and it would take less effort from Arhennis because all he's doing is hooking his arms around the back of his leg. He didn't have to lift him up. He basically got, a big power bomb off of doing nothing, or a pancake, I guess technically.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
later, Arhennis does a one-handed driver, like a one-winged angel with one hand, where he picked him up off the turnbuckle with just one hand and did a
Yeah.
driver.
The one thing I'm finding out is like Arhennis, brown eye kick aside, he is like one of the unsung heroes of this season so far.
Dude, I don't know how he didn't get pushed because this was a match to highlight Phoenix, but I didn't take
Yeah.
any notes on what Phoenix was doing, even though Phoenix was doing awesome shit. I
Yeah.
was like, Arhennis was doing stuff where I'm like, either it was really technically cool, like I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
that makes a lot of sense in the fight, that's amazing, or it was just a fucking one-wing driver.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I believe Arhennis later on in the show, not to give away any major spoilers, because I'm not putting a name out there, but I believe he does take up another mask later on in the series as another character.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I believe so. I could be mistaken, but I do believe so. Oh, by the way, when the action was hot and heavy, lots of back and forth, Katrina at one point did look a little bit very interested, as it were. Matt Stryker points this out and he says, at the risk of sounding like a pervert, Katrina looks turned on by this action. That was the cringe. But
Mm.
then Vamp's follow up, and normally Vamp one up Stryker, and I'm just cringing even harder. But what Vamp said made me chuckle. He said, "The risk of admitting I'm a pervert, I am turned on by this action."
Well, I mean, it's cringe, but it's also like not really the best
Well,
way to
again,
tell the story of
it's
what's
just one of
happening.
those. I agree. I agree. I see where you're coming from an analytical standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those the Vampiro line. It's one of those like funny uncle telling a dirty joke and that sort of thing. That's why I got a chuckle out of me.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be the bad guy, play by or color commentator or whatever.
Color.
I never remember which one's which, but it's more cringe when Matt does it because Matt's supposed to be like the goody two shoes, and it's
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of it's like the guy from remember the Instagram guy, Tom Phillips was his name.
Oh yeah, Facebook Tom.
Yeah, it's like reading his like kinks. It's like you don't want to,
Yeah, no,
but
exactly.
it just was a terrible way to kind of convey that she's interested in Phoenix and kind
I
of made it seem like
agree.
it was just about sex, and it's not. I
It's
mean, I
not.
think
No, it's a battle for the soul.
yeah, it's. I'm not gonna say it's love because she's evil, but
Yeah.
but I will say that it's that's kind of like undercutting what's happening right here. The story they're trying to tell is like, is she is she crushing on him, like not just thirsting
Yeah.
for him, but like you know.
Yeah.
At least I think that's what they want to say.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out, the main difference between play-by-play and color, and I think you may know, some people don't, but play-by-play basically just gives you the action, and color commentary they give you more details. They add more color to the story. Basically, like if we were the way our podcast works, you're the play-by-play guy, and I think I'm the color, to be honest with you, but because you noticed more, you've noticed more of the athletics than I have, to be completely transparent here.
Wouldn't that make me the color guy though?
No,
Oh,
no, I believe that would make you the play-by-play guy because you're calling the play-by-play action, whereas I've more honed in on the story myself. And
okay.
that's not to say you ignore story. You certainly don't. You do a good job here. Uh, I just think that's kind of how we mesh.
Yeah, we mix and match.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Doing this 14 episodes in, man. I feel like we're getting a groove. We're not talking over each other as much as we used to, man.
No, I think the only next step is better equipment.
Yes,
or at least me.
that is.
Yeah, I come across pretty meek, I think.
I could use a better headset, but my mic is good.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm not I'm the editor, and I'm not a media guy.
Well, that's the thing. You're not a media guy, but you're more inclined to edit than I am, for sure. Like, I have no inclination on editing. Oh, by the way, this is all staying in the show.
Yeah, we'll keep it. I mean, we only cut out the stuff that's like really egregious and like controversial.
Exactly. But
and
yeah,
dead air.
Phoenix. Like when we spoiled someone's match at the last show of season 1.
Yeah, stuff like that, or if like some of our friends on the other shows actually know people in the business.
Yeah.
So because we're not really trying to get like the big what's the word, like the big scoops. We don't really our show doesn't really need that. So
no,
and
we're a
some
retro
of the
show.
Yeah, and some of the people like we're fans of, so we're not gonna fuck up there, especially if they work in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna spill the beans on them about because if they think something and it goes against what corporate feels over there, we're not gonna fuck people over because especially there's a few guys there's a few guys that a few of the guys know that I like a lot, and I will never fuck their shit up, even if it was like a bombshell. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get like we're not gonna be like superstars.
No Brad Shepard work over here. Although we could just make up shit if you wanted.
I mean, we could go. Yeah, we could do some dirt sheet shit.
Yeah, full blown Brad Shepard just making shit up. Phoenix won. What exactly did he win off of, man? I can't remember. Was it a power bomb?
Phoenix Driver.
Duh. Man, see, you're the play-by-play guy. You pay attention to this stuff.
I didn't even see it. Vampiro just said it.
I was in a funk yesterday for some reason. I can't figure that out. But anyway, Katrina, after Phoenix leaves the ring, Katrina gives Arhenis the lick of death. So that was hot. I was at half chub. No, I'm just kidding. The very next thing we see is a vignette featuring Mil Muertes and Katrina. And Katrina is basically berating Mil Muertes. And when this was going on, I was like, does she like not realize like Mil Muertes could fuck her shit up so hard?
Well, at this point in the story, I don't think it's later on you get more information on their dynamic.
Yeah.
But at one point he lifts her up by the throat, and they do some clever editing to make it look like
that was really clever. I agree.
And they show his dominance. And while he's doing that, and even after he puts her down, as she has eye contact with him, she's just smiling. But as soon as he walks away, her smile fades, and she actually looks a little worried. So they're trying to tell more of the story of the unhappy or the broken house, I guess, broken household.
Yeah,
she's
trouble in paradise.
Another man. Yeah, they're emphasizing that, and she's laughing at his attempts to dominate and intimidate her, but they kind of imply that she's acknowledging, even if she won't show him, she knows that he's dangerous.
Yeah. And I did like, right before he picks her up, because, she's just berating him. She's like, you need to, and he like shuts her up by grabbing her by the throat and says, I need nothing.
I like that too.
Oh my God. Mil Muertes is such a badass dude.
Well, he's supposed to be like a void, like a Michael Myers, kind of like there's nothing inside. So when he said I need nothing, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I agree. All that being considered, this was not the end of Mil Muertes on this show, because as Mil Muertes is leaving, Chavo Guerrero exits a nearby door, and he tries to beeline out of there. Not happening. Mil Muertes says, next week, you pay your debts.
Well, he turned to swing on him.
Yeah.
That was a bad... He probably should have just ran.
He should have, yeah. Oh, my God. That was great, though. Like, of course, the Guerrero tried to sneak attack him, and didn't quite work out. And, I love that, man. Because I don't know if we're going to see Muertes versus Chavo next week or if it's going to be like some more backstage stuff, but I am very excited for sure.
It sounded
Speaking
like
of,
a match.
yeah, I hope, I kind of hope it is, and I hope it's short, but we'll see. It's going to come to a point when Chavo is not in the temple much this season, to my knowledge. There's going to become a lull, and I'm not going to be too upset about that. I will say that.
No, he's not the highlight, and he shouldn't be the one they're pushing anyway. But you're right.
Oh, no. He's going to keep the story going. He's just not going to be inside the temple.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, we had a vignette from Big Rick. He's going to confession. So I guess Rick Long Stevens is a Catholic for what it's worth.
I guess so.
He's telling this priest he's going to destroy 3 Judases. We are seeing flashbacks of, them like beating him up, blinding him. And Rick says these hands won't shed innocent blood. And this was my favorite line of the promo. He says, "It's time for Big Rick to go Old Testament." I was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome!" And the priest says, "I beg you, son, go in peace." And this is when we see the first shot of Big Rick's face, the first full-blown, like, non-obscured shot of his face post-cigar attack. He's got an eye patch on, and he says, "Even God said, vengeance is mine." Do you remember when I told you that these were the best vignettes of the season so far?
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they are the best of the season so far, yeah.
Yeah. Glad you agree. So, man, Big Rick's coming for the crew, and again, I am so excited to see that.
Should be good.
Oh, by the way, yeah, it should be, absolutely. So next up, we had Son of Havoc and Ivelisse in the ring, and the one thing I noticed immediately is they were much happier with each other than they were last week when they left.
There was one other thing did you notice that his voice did not sound the same? Is that his real voice?
I did not notice that. I will have to go back and watch.
It wasn't basic at all. Like it wasn't like it wasn't high pitched or anything, but it wasn't like this. It was just,
of course.
I don't think they added the added effects, and if that's his real voice, he didn't need it.
Well, Matt Cross isn't like high pitched; he's just soft spoken.
Okay, yeah, it's his voice sounded less bassy, so I didn't know if like they just forgot or if they didn't do it. But when he was talking, it wasn't. It didn't sound the same. Maybe I was just thinking it. I don't know.
They are going to use the bassy voice in backstage vignettes later on in the season. But if they don't use it in the ring anymore, I wouldn't be too upset. That's for sure. But like I said, the one thing I noticed before his opponent came out is they were kind of loving on each other, where there's like shoulder grabs or, a kiss, that sort of thing. And then, Son of Havoc says, he's dedicating this victory to the love of his life and the baddest bitch in the building. Out comes his opponent. This was stiff competition, Johnny Mundo. So, okay, one thing real quick, some trivia. All 3 wrestlers at the at ringside or in the ring. So, Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Johnny Mundo. All 3 of these wrestlers are Tough Enough alum.
Really?
Yeah. So Matt Cross and Ivelisse were on the same season. They were on the 2011 season that was hosted by Stone Cold. And Johnny Mundo won the 3rd season, I believe. He won the season before. Yes, it had to have been the 3rd because it was after Shaniqua and Jackie Gata and before Matt Capitelli won season 3 as well. But before Daniel Pugh won season 4 and nearly broke Kurt Angle's arm.
I love that part too because Kurt was so pissed and he got. Yeah. Was it the Royal Rumble where they all just chopped the shit out of him?
It was Benoit, Bob Holly, and Guerrero just chopped the shit out of Pewter.
Was Pewter a dick or was that just a misunderstanding? I never really understood that.
I I think it was just a misunderstanding. Like I think they told Pewter to shoot, and he shot, and things happened.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him because it felt like, you tell someone to go in there, and then a wrestler, and Kurt Angle, I love Kurt Angle, he's probably my favorite wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why he's angry about it because,
Yeah,
that guy,
shown up by a rookie.
Right. Yeah, he's right. The rookie shouldn't do that, but someone gave the rookie directions, and the rookie followed directions.
Yeah.
So he was damned either way, but he shot and he won, and it's one of those things where a wrestler gets upset because the other guy that can fight wins.
Yeah.
And it kind of just reminded me of Jericho and Goldberg, where it's like, well, I mean, in a real fight, sorry.
Is Jericho even trained in any discipline? Like, I mean,
I think
to my knowledge, all he did was like grab a face lock, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a face lock or headlock, but wrestling moves are based on real grappling and submissions, and the Hearts really know. I don't know what it's based upon, but they know submissions based on wrestling and real submissions. So like kind of like Daniel Bryan knows a lot of real grappling stuff that would really hurt. I don't know if you remember that clip that James threw in there where he's doing that wrist lock to a looks like a key lock, and then the homicide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he knows real ways, and he's also a hockey player, so he can probably brawl.
Oh god.
So like he knows how to do submissions. He knows how to do them. It's just usually he's doing it in a wrestling style. Where if he were to go against a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, would he win? Maybe not. But against Bill Goldberg, yeah, he can probably. He stood up to Lesnar. Now Lesnar probably would have beat him because Lesnar's.
Lesnar. Oh my god.
Yeah, Jericho has balls. Like Jericho is a badass. Like you shouldn't fuck with him because he probably knows how to fight from hockey, and he went to the dungeon, so he knows submissions. I'd rather get knocked the fuck out than have my arm broken.
Yes, absolutely. So, man, this match was amazing, dude.
It was.
This was a showing out. This was a coming out party for Son of Havoc, man.
They were chanting for him, and he did an insane springboard crossbody where he had so much height he almost went all the way across the ring.
Okay, so I wrote this down as a sideways elevated elbow drop. It was when Son of Havoc showed off his epic core strength by perching himself sideways in the air using the turnbuckle.
You could even call it a plank.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair enough.
And that's core strength. It was because he was on the outside of the ring, holding himself up completely horizontal. Yeah, completely horizontal for a good couple seconds, and then he did drop a perfect elbow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. It was awesome. Like people are falling in love with Son of Havoc, and they are going to be rewarded for that for sure. I did
also see
at one point. Sorry, go ahead.
I know we just said earlier how we were not talking over each other. But did you see how Johnny Mundo did that thing where he cut Havoc was on the outside, and Mundo parkoured and cut across the ring and dove and basically did like the end part of a sling blade on him.
Oh my god,
that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. I agree. One thing that was also really awesome is when Son of Havoc went up top for the to the top rope, and Mundo got up just in time, or got up early enough that Son of Havoc could rebound to get off the ropes, and he did a cartwheel to get off the top rope. Jesus Christ, dude.
I didn't like the finish. I don't know if you're still going over the match, but if the finish I didn't like.
Okay. So I did notice also there was a springboard double stomp into a standing moonsault from Son of Havoc that got a 2 count. And oh my god. Went up top, Son of Havoc eats an enziguri at the top rope. Oh my god. Son of Havoc has the match won. Mundo is done. But for some reason, Son of Havoc is still like like Evilise is yelling at him, but he's not getting up on the top rope like she's saying, even though he knows he should for some reason.
I didn't
And this may
understand
be
that.
what you hate about it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like one of those, like, I think it's to drive home the point that, like, yes, Son of Havoc is losing these matches on his own, but his girlfriend is certainly not helping.
Well, she was telling him what to do. She was like, "Do it." She was
But
like, "Do it,
as
do
if
it."
he didn't know. Like, his instinct would tell him to go up top. So I don't think he needed to hear that, though, is the thing.
But then he also wasn't doing it. He was like talking to her. And
That's
I don't know.
fair.
I didn't get it. Like me, I think maybe I'm just not understanding it because even Vampiro's shouting like, "Do it, do it, do it," and it just seemed
Yeah.
like it went on forever.
Yeah, well, it did seem a little long. So Son of Havoc goes up to the top after what felt like forever. Go for the shooting star press, and Mundo gets the knees up. Eventually, Mundo hits the end of the world and gets the win. After the loser's powder, Mundo is in the ring celebrating. King Cuerno comes down, and I love this because as King Cuerno was coming down the steps, it's like he was actually stalking him. Like he was slow and deliberate about it, you know?
Oh, he hit him some nasty shotgun drop kicks, like sniped him,
Mm-hmm.
took his head off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was slightly disappointed. You know, I'm a mark for it. King Cuerno did not hit Thrill of the Hunt on the seal. He was just off the seal this week, so that's slightly disappointing. But still, you know, we've got this feud going strong so far, and I'm ready to see where it goes, man.
Me too, because I don't remember it.
Oh well, they have a gimmick match in the future that I believe you will love. I will leave it at that. I'll tell you off the air what it was.
Fair enough.
All right. Next up, Ricky Mandel versus Pentagon Jr. So at the start of this match, Vampiro did a Ricky Martel, oh no, Ricky Mandel joke. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that went on for a little bit, and I kind of chuckled
Oh,
because I like stupid dad jokes like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably would have on initial watch if I was watching at the time this episode came out, but you know, 6 years later, not so much.
Yeah, it was not cringy like the other line that Stryker said. So I guess I just gave it leeway.
Yeah. So really, not a lot to report from this match. I mean, chops that hurt like hell, double stomps that hurt like hell. Ricky Mandel gets a hope spot in with a head scissors and a drop kick. What kills the hope spot is when he goes up top because Pentagon was not nearly damaged enough for Mandel to get plenty of time to go up top. From there, it was all Penta. He hit a sling blade and then another double stomp. He locks him in the Kimura, I believe, for the verbal submission. I always love a verbal submission. You know, I'm a real mark for that stuff.
Yeah, in the last episode I asked because I didn't remember him actually ever getting actual submissions off of it.
Yeah,
And this was number 2, and
it's
you know,
two in a row. Yeah.
yeah, he gets the arm trap of the leg, and I guess it's technically a Kimura. I don't really know what you would call it.
Maybe just an arm bar. I don't know.
Yeah, it's some kind of arm bar, arm breaker. I mean, there's probably some technical term. I'm not trained in ground grappling, so I don't really know exactly what it would be, but
Yeah.
an arm bar, I guess, seems fine. That's what
Yeah.
it's doing. It's bending the same way.
So the victory wasn't enough because again, not only does Pentagon work to win, he works to hurt people. Again,
Yeah, he
I
said.
love that they're. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there. We're already back to talking over each other, but we'll edit this part out.
That's fine. No, we can leave it in. Fuck them.
Fair enough. That actually makes it easier for me. But when he lifts him up after he goes for the pin and he lifts his head up, Vampiro says that's not dirty, that's evil. And it made sense to me because when you do something dirty, it's to like get a steal a win or to hurry up and roll someone up or hit them with a low blow so you can steal the win. But when it's evil is when you're trying to like hurt them.
You have nothing to gain by letting him up from this pin.
Besides being sadistic or even sending a message like I am better than you, like he was there to he had bad intentions. Say that.
Yeah, he absolutely did. because the victory wasn't enough. He has the arm breaker locked in, and then he breaks the arm from the elbow. Oh my god. The crowd loved it too. Like, the crowd is really falling in love with Penta because the crowd chants Cero Miedo, as it were.
He's totally over. The fans love him. I don't know if they expected it to blow up as much as it did, but he is over.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There comes a point when they realize just how over it is, so much so that they have to do a certain something with his gimmick to... Yeah, I'll explain off the air. You already know what I'm referring to, but oh well. Pentagon grabs the mic, says, another sacrifice for my master. So...
Did you see the camera work
Maestro guy is? I did not.
They do an awesome overhead shot of him him standing over, or on his knees over the seal, looking up at the camera, because they have the overhead camera in Lucha Underground, which is amazing. Yes. And they take a shot of him like praising the his master from that position right over the seal. It was badass.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. So the main event of the evening. This is the first time we've run into this, where the main event segment is not a match. That's kind of interesting. So, out comes the debuting AAA heavyweight champion Alberto El Patron. My God, was he over in the temple?
He came out pumped and he had energy. And aside from
crazy? Okay, what is crazy about how over the temple? Like, because you can tell when there's canned heat and when there isn't. And the crowd was legitimately very excited to see that guy. When these people come out to the ring, the live crowd isn't hearing any music. So they're only reacting off of what emotions the wrestler is giving them. And they were in love with Alberto here.
Yeah, he was pumped. He came out, and at first I was kind of like, all right, whatever. But he was so pumped, and it came through in what he was saying, that besides one thing I think was technically not true, he didn't even speak any falsehoods. Like, he said a lot of true stuff, and he got the crowd pumped, even though like we got on them about being too much about WWE, and a lot of it was him like shitting on them for being
there was a little bit of a Boys Up North vibe to his promo for sure.
Oh, straight up. And he's right. In this, have we talked about what happened? I think you did last episode.
Well, you know why he was fired, right?
Yeah, because some guy that worked behind the scenes said something racist.
So they're real quick. They're at catering one day. Social media guy like has a dirty plate or something, and someone says, "Hey, clean that up, Cody." And it's not Cody Rhodes, just someone behind the scenes named Cody. He says, "Hey, clean that up, Cody." Cody says, "That's Del Rio's job," which, oh my God.
And that's a stupid thing to say for multiple
reasons. 2014. You can't say crap like that, dude. So Alberto wasn't here to hear this. When Alberto is told about it, he confronts Cody. Kind of gives him some breathing room, but he's like, "Hey, why'd you say that earlier?" And Cody just smirks at him. So Alberto slaps the guy. Well, Cody goes to corporate because, by God, can't have people slapping people. And Cody basically threatens to sue if they don't fire Del Rio, which they do, but they grant him a unconditional release, so they don't get tied up in litigation with Del Rio either. So basically, this was why Del Rio was able to come to Lucha Underground so quick, and why, like, in late 2014, he was doing shows for like Ring of Honor and all these other things, and AAA.
That's not much though.
So they fired him, and then like I think a month later they fired the social media guy. So he didn't have much longer to stay there. Thank God, because none of this happens if he's not a racist piece of crap.
No, and it's even if you know his Del Rio's history, like he's not, and if you know his future, it's not a good idea to try to antagonize him, because he's got a temper.
And isn't he a trained MMA fighter?
Yeah, he doesn't have the best record, but if you get into the ring and you fight multiple times, you're a badass. but you can fight.
Unless you're
And
CM Punk, but yes.
yeah, unless you're CM Punk, he's the bottom. But he and from the future, like when I asked about him beating up the Ninja Turtle, Del Rio will fight you, and he's
Yes,
in the
he
right
will.
there. And frankly, like if all they did was just take away the no compete clause, he got kind of screwed over that. And I'd be angry too because he should have probably
A
been
little bit, but I mean, he came back like a year later. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
but I mean, like he slapped someone, but like don't remember. Like I don't know if you watched the Dark Side of the Ring. Who was the wrestler that slapped the journalist? he got in a lot of trouble.
D. David Schultz.
Yeah, like that's like and they don't wrestlers don't do that anymore. But
Oh,
I don't know, like a wrestler slapping a dude. I don't know, just call it kayfabe.
I mean, it's one of those though. Like WWE was kind of screwed either way because, like, well, if we don't fire Del Rio, this guy's gonna sue us. If we, it was a whole thing. It was a no-win situation for them, and it was
Oh,
all
no doubt.
because some jerk off made a racist comment.
Oh, no doubt. Like my only criticism.
And by the way, like I'm not saying like Del Rio is like blameless in this situation. Like there are better ways to respond, I guess. But I mean, I can't blame him for being angry.
Sometimes I think violence is a good answer to an issue. I frankly, yeah. But my only criticism is that they probably should have, like, if he had the rest of his contract, they probably should have paid him for the whole contract.
They might have. I would have to look into details on it, man. But I don't think he went away a poor man. I will say that.
No, no doubt. I'm just him being let go, and thankfully the other guy was let go like a month later. It's just I don't know. I'm having trouble articulating, but it just seems like he definitely kind of got screwed in that situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't think of the best way to say it, so we'll just move on, I guess.
Well, you're saying about as much as Alberto said in his promo. Basically, Alberto's out here, and by the way, Stryker did a great job on commentary here. He did a great job of selling the importance of Alberto El Patron in Lucha Underground. But that being said, Alberto didn't really say a lot here. He takes off his jacket and tie because it's all friends tonight, man. It's all friends tonight. You could tell he was excited, man. Or at least he did a good job of portraying excitement. He name drops basically his entire bloodline. He says, man, elsewhere, like I had friends that embraced me, but when I turned around, they stabbed me in the back. And he said, I'm here in Lucha Underground because I wanted to work where equal meant something. A place where the color of your skin doesn't hold you back. So he's like a modern day Martin Luther King. It's like, oh my God, like he's doing like a whole equality thing. This is wild, even though this will never get referenced again as long as Alberto's on the show.
No, this was a fuck the boys up in New York kind of promo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alberto says, tonight the revolution begins. And before he can continue celebrating, he is jumped by Tejano. That's right, folks. We got another debuting luchador here, Tejano from AAA. Someone who I had never heard of before Lucha Underground, but he was actually the man that Alberto beat to become the AAA heavyweight champion. Tejano just beat the crap out of Alberto with the bull rope, and Tejano grabbed the belt and says, soon it'll be back home.
It's a good looking belt.
It is, I agree. It looks better than even before Cage ripped it in half, it looks better than the current Lucha Underground Championship.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And man, that's the show. It's so weird to end it on a promo though, man. How are you feeling going into this Alberto and Tejano program?
I'm not excited. And that's from having watched it before and just yeah, I'm not a big fan of Tejano. And I don't know a lot about Alberto because I wasn't watching WWE at the time. And he's good, but like doesn't really do anything for me.
To me, like Alberto in WWE was a bit of like a 3-star savior.
No,
Honestly, dude, like I'm not saying that to be a dick. Like a lot of Alberto's work didn't really stand out to me.
he's more of a like a gimmick and promo guy, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and being a 3-star savior is not an insult. That's a good match, I
That
think.
means you're at least serviceable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of people. A lot of matches sometimes aren't, and
Yeah.
you know, I just I'm not. No, I'm not too excited.
Yeah. No, I understand. But all things considered, doing our good old 1 to 10 scale, how would you rate this episode?
um, maybe a 7.5.
Okay. I get you. I'm gonna go 7. It was just something about the card, man. I mean, the vignettes were great, but like the matches, they didn't really stand out. I mean, other than Son of Havoc and Mundo, and I mean the Penta squash was cool, but it was a squash, so it's hard to rate. So I'm gonna go 7 this week.
Yeah, 7. I wouldn't even argue against that because and like you said, I don't really know what it is because it's on it. The sum of all its parts sounds amazing, but
Yeah.
just compared to other shows, I can't really. I mean, I should probably give it a 7. And the 7, like if you were to do a star scale, because we go to 10, so like
Yeah.
a an 8 would be a 4-star. You
Yeah.
know,
So
7.5 is
7 is like a 3.5, or yeah.
yeah, it's good. Like a
Yeah.
3.75. It's just I can't give it a 4.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. And I mean that being said, we're down on this episode as a whole, but we'll give it a 7. So that tells you how good this show is, man.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 is great.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I just recorded for Eddie or for the Hero Cast. We just recorded a review of Barbed Wire. I
Oh
would
God.
kill if that movie was a 7 out of 10.
Oh, was
Like
that
that
movie like
movie
a
is
3?
awful.
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, yeah, I rated it a 3.
Yeah, no, I'm not someone that's like when Meltzer gives someone like 6 stars. Like I kind of understand that it's something that broke the scale, but for me to give something, and when I was reviewing my own show, I had like
Yeah.
I did letters. I did F through S, like
Yeah.
S or F through A was normal, but I gave you an
Yeah.
S if it like blew my mind and it just changed the way I look at wrestling. I
Yeah.
can't really give any. A 10 is like a perfect wrestling match.
Exactly.
Or a perfect show. And
Yeah.
there's things that were like like I didn't like the finish to the Matt uh, Cross and to the Son of Havoc and Mundo match.
Mhm.
I thought there was some jankiness in the early parts of the Phoenix match,
Yeah.
and I don't really care about Patron.
Yeah.
Even though it was a good promo, it's just like it did end on a promo, so I don't really care.
Yeah. Like you've got to do something huge if you're gonna end the show with a promo. And this is no disrespect to Tejano because I remember really liking him in season 2,
Mhm.
but Tejano's not that huge thing you end the show with.
No, and it was and even though I liked the promo, it was still there was a lot of F the boys up north in New York,
Yeah.
and it's and like you and me both feel like okay that not everyone's gonna drop a pipe bomb, and this isn't ECW. I don't really care how you feel about WWE. Like I don't watch
Hmm.
it because I don't like it. I don't need you to tell
Yeah.
me you didn't like it. You just got a lot of money on it.
Exactly.
It does
Hmm.
nothing for me. It was like a pipe bomb I don't care about.
Yeah. And it's especially funny because when it came from Mundo, it's like, okay, he's gonna end up back in WWE. So clearly this is like a jilted lover situation. Alberto ends up back in WWE less than a year later.
Yeah, I don't like those promos because it made sense in the Monday Night Wars shit.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't think it makes sense anymore because like
No.
it doesn't have the same. It's not as like shocking. It's not as jarring or controversial. It's like okay, yeah, you had a bad time in WWE. Add you to the list of 100 wrestlers that
Hmm.
feel that way. Like it
Yep.
means nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
Like
agree.
you have a friend like you have a bunch of friends that go out with like the same girl and she's terrible and she treats them like crap, or the guy that goes back to the same girl that treats him like crap. After a while, you're like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Comparing wrestling to bad relationships.
That's peak, Greg. Um, let's get out of here, man. We've had a doozy of a day, if you will. And folks, we are going to get out of here. More than anything, I want you to remember that no matter who wins this quiz time 4-way that we've got lined up in the future, be it me, Jeremy, Josh, or Rance, it doesn't matter. What will always be true, what is a universal truth, is that this is the true ace of podcasts. Goodbye. Folks, we are not alone here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. There are plenty of other great shows on here. None as great as ours, of course. But we have on this lineup a bevy of great shows, including 8-Bit Suplex, hosted by Sandy Gaviria and Josh McLaughlin, even though he hates me for some reason. We also have All Things Elite, hosted by Austin S. and my boy, my fellow Okie, Floyd Johnson Jr. Again, that's All Things Elite. That covers AEW, and it does it in a damn good way. We got Get in the Ring, DJ Cooks, great host. Also, he hosts a show called The Great Match Generator, and I believe once or twice you've been on that show, if I'm not mistaken, right, Greg?
I was on the first one.
We've also got Grown Men Watch This Shit. Again, that's James Vanderbeek and Chris Bryan. Two great guys, in my opinion. Another show, New Japan Centric, Keeping It Strong Style, hosted by Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh Smith. A couple of great guys, in my opinion. Loads of great people on this network, if you notice the theme. Also, of course, we got the OGs of Social Suplex. We got One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd, every Sunday on the network. We've also got the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. Last but not least, I love those guys. They're my homies from Scotland. Ricky, you are one handsome devil, and you guys put on a great podcast. And always remember to listen to the Grave Consequences podcast, or there will be grave consequences.